Hello again, and thank you for joining us. My name is Carl. This is my best friend, J-Man, and thank you for listening or watching us Be These Guys. So today, we're going to talk about something a little more current. And what I mean by current is that on social media,
Hopis and cancel culture in social media.
So there was something on there that we had seen on there, or well, I have seen, is that there was a person, an artist on there that was stating that he was the very first person to do digital art. And I know that digital art is fairly new to everybody and fairly
out here at least, right?
Yeah, exotic in a way where it kind of transforms traditional Hopi artwork to like this new age artwork. And this person on there stated that he's been doing artwork for at least 13 years. Like digital artwork for at least 13 years.
Well, the claim was that he was the first.
Yeah, and he was the very first Hopi that was doing artwork for like that for digital media. And there's been this whole huge backlash about he's never been the first Hopi, and the digital artwork has been around for a long time, and he wasn't the first Hopi. And I remember when I was going to college, this was 20 years ago, basically. And this was back in 2003 is when I first went to college. 2004 is when I first started doing digital artwork. So that's like what, 18 years ago, if you count the numbers? Almost 18 years ago.
Let me ask the smartphone.
Yeah, ask the smartphone.
Talked about smartphones.
Okay, ask the smartphone right now. Ask the smartphone. 2004, 2021, 2021. See what that comes out to. And so while he's doing that,
17 years.
Yeah, about 17 years ago, I've created a drawing, and I'll put up the drawing here. And it's not finished. This is my very first drawing that I did back in 2004. And this was all in digital. And this is my drawing here. And so back then, there was no real media for it. There was no real use,
a platform,
a platform or use
to
for
share that you're doing these things.
And the reason why is because it was so exotic that no person that creates art on a computer should be called an artist, pretty much. And so there's this
it was so new.
It was
people didn't really know what it was back then.
Yeah, people didn't know how hard it is to create something on a computer versus hand drawing it on a piece of paper. And so like back in the day, when we were learning how to do all of these different things like that, it was new to us, and it was something that kind of strayed away from new technology, or like old technology,
traditional means.
Yeah, like all of that stuff. So when this person said that on Facebook, saying that he was the very first,
did that make you mad?
It didn't make me mad. It just made me like wonder, why did he say that he was the very first Hopi to do that? I remember that.
I know it ruffled a lot of feathers. Yeah. I know it pissed a lot of people off. It
pissed a lot of people off because he's not the first Hopi that created artwork on a computer. I remember my boss, he's much older than me. He graduated from the same school, and he was doing artwork 30 years ago on a computer. So he was basically the first Hopi to do all of that kind of stuff.
Oh, really? I'm just kind of the bystander that's, kind of the accident happened and I'm just standing here watching it as it all unfolds because, I saw the post and I saw a lot of the people that were getting upset about it. And I think what pissed people off, aside from, the claim of being the very first artist, I think it was also the comment about how how this particular individual, this artist, created his work, and that everybody else after basically copied him. You know what I mean? And so it was this comment of, I was the first one to do it, and then now everybody else that's doing it, they're basically copying me. And so I think that was kind of the issue that a lot of people had. And it kind of got me to think, because because we promote ourselves as Hopis, we promote ourselves as we're podcasters, Hopi podcasters. Now we're YouTubers, so we promote ourselves as Hopi YouTubers. And so it's this idea that you want to carry yourself in a way that's appropriate with that idea of what Hopi is. And of course, one of the biggest key or beliefs that we have is this idea of humility, that, you be humble and that you carry yourself in a humble manner as you live your life, especially if you're calling yourself Hopi, if you label anything that you do as being Hopi. And so, I think that was another area that kind of struck a chord, because, sometimes, because I don't think that it's wrong to be proud of yourself. If you accomplish something that's really tremendous, and you're proud of the work that you do, and you want to show the world of what your work is. But I think it gets to that point where you start, I guess, putting people beneath you that's doing the same thing. And I think that's how a lot of people felt, and based upon this comment. But, I do have to thank this individual, because thanks to him, now I'm calling myself the godfather of Hopi podcasters. So all the future podcasts that come out after the Carl and J-Man Save the World podcast, thanks to me.
You mean me? You mean me? I was the first person to create a podcast here on the Hopi Reservation.
Nobody knows that. So when I tell people that I'm the godfather, that's I'm creating my own history.
I have a cup. I have a cup that says...
I have a cup that says that I'm better than you. And we're not one to just throw somebody under the bus. And so if this individual that we're talking about, you know who you are if you're listening, and you'd like an opportunity to talk about your side of the story, hit us up on our social medias. Hit us up on the email. We'll either bring you on the YouTube or the podcast. That way, we can get your side of the story as well.
So the person that said this whole thing creates really great artwork, and I really like his artwork. He's going beyond the way of traditional artwork, where it's just like pen and paper, or just like a single print of media. He's creating like baby bibs and shower curtains and aprons and stuff like that. And it's something that we as Hopis don't really see our traditional
our artwork, symbols or designs
on different imagery. Things like that. We don't see it like that. It's weird to see like a tawa on a
frisbee or
something. And like it's kind of just
one of those coasters that you put your beers on when you're at the bar.
And it's kind of mocking our own gods, pretty much. And it's kind of mocking the way that we honor them by printing them by putting your beers on their faces pretty much
when it's on the coasters.
And it's sort of like it's just a symbol now.
There's probably a huge discussion around art and I guess the proper usages of the different traditional symbols that we have within our culture. That we're probably safe for the podcast, because I think that's probably a huge, extensive discussion. But there are definitely different perspectives in regards to that, the art and what artists now are putting into their art.
So it's I have to thank you for all the artists that do create artwork and stuff. And
because I'm not doing it. I can't do it.
I do it, but I don't display it around and stuff like that.
I'm the most unartistic Hopi you'll ever meet, and I tell people that all the time. So the Res Famous Wife, I'm sorry, I have to purchase some of these things that your heart desires.
He buys it from real artists.
From the real artists.
So the Res Famous Wife, go thank them.
But you know what, Res Famous Wife, I am the godfather of Hopi podcasting, so.
The godfather. And I'm actually the creator of this whole podcast.
And he's my Gilligan, so. Everybody holds a place.
We actually can say we are the world's first Hopi podcasters
from the reservation.
From the reservation. Yeah, actually from the reservation. There are other Hopi podcasters out there, but they're not living on the reservation
at the moment.
Mm-hmm, no. Mm-hmm.
And so this is something that we wanted to kind of bring up because it's one of the more contemporary things that happened. And it's kind of funny because I did see a comment, at least in regards to the post that this artist made, that there was another person that commented on Facebook and said that, Hopi can't never say that they never canceled anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I guess whatever outrage that this post sparked, that the guy ended up taking his post down. And so, and that's kind of something that can happen based on whatever it is that you say. So a couple years from now, when I make my post about being the Godfather, then I guess I'll be the one that gets canceled.
Yeah, pretty much. Media. And then I'll be the winner of everything.
Then it'll be the Carl Save the World podcast.
Carl Save the World podcast.
Carl Saves the World. And then the YouTube will just go to Us Be This Guy. Us Be This Guy.
So another news is that the COVID checks. Remember the COVID checks?
The COVID checks.
COVID money.
The COVID monies are coming in for our neighbors, the Navajos.
The neighbors, the Navajos now. I mean, what's his president?
Nez. Jonathan Nez.
Yeah, I was going to say Joe Shirley.
Peter McDonald. We're so far behind the times. Because remember, we live in a fishbowl.
Yeah, basically we live
in a vacuum.
So he's actually distributing the checks now.
And so that's kind of the news too, as well, is that you see a lot of the Navajos, a lot of our Navajo friends posting about their COVID checks that they're finally getting. But for us Hopis, we've received ours. A majority of us received ours last year.
So did you receive yours?
I finally got mine.
You finally got yours? I got mine last year, and it was spent before I even got my check. So.
And that was the big news, I think, for us out here on Hopi when those COVID checks first came around. And so I think that, for people that don't really know, that might be, hearing about us for the first time, is that, as a result of the COVID, the pandemic, that former President Trump now issued these stimulus packages, and part of those the monies from the packages went to all of the federally recognized tribes. And so Hopi received like $80 million, I think it was.
I think $80 million.
And so a lot of those monies went into different areas. I imagine that a bulk of it probably went into the our healthcare system. I know that for a fact that a lot of it did go into our education system. So a lot of people wondering, $80 million, where did that money go?
And a lot of it went to our
healthcare and education.
No, a lot of it went to our tribal council.
And because the tribe received so much money that I think that it got to a point where it was difficult for them to spend all that money. So they said, why don't we use some of that funding to help all our individual tribal members out? And so for those that qualify, we're going to give each Hopi $2,000. I think is what we received. And so that the process was that you had to fill out an application. You had to submit your application, and then you'd be put on this list to receive this $2,000 check.
Once everybody heard that, I mean, there was a line all the way down to Highway 264
from the tribal office that it was located in. So it was like this real sweepstakes bonanza that was going on out here. And I think what was so funny about it was that, the fact that, because we've mentioned in our last episode of Us Be These Guys, is that our people now were on social media so much. And so on social media, you had a lot of people talking about the COVID checks.
And it was weird because I'm pretty sure that there was like a news segment that went on. It would be like, I'm standing here by
it's like that old Dave Chappelle show, the episode where he talks about the black people receiving what is it called?
Reparation
checks for slavery. And they're, kind of have this skit where, one these things are transpiring as a result of all the money. And here on Hopi, it'd probably be the exact same thing.
It's like in the one that cracked me, is like crime has been at its all-time lowest.
It's like, what? Did the Mexicans get money too? He's like,
And it was crazy. It's like, and that's what happened. I mean, like Hopis, once they received their check,
we went wild. Just
with
like
it.
that Dave Chappelle episode.
Yeah, we went wild with it. I mean, we were buying things left and right. We weren't even paying our bills or anything like that. I was like, what bills? I don't care about bills.
So if the Hopi version of that Dave Chappelle skit, like we're calling our stock information guy, and then he's reporting on stocks.
Yeah.
And in this day in Wall Street, thousands of Hopis received their COVID stimulus bill checks, and Bluebird flower stock is at an all-time high.
Sequoia has been an all-time high.
The Spam Corporation has reached into the Fortune 500.
Because I remember that when that black lady, she comes out of the thing, she's like, what are you gonna do with your money? She's like, you better watch out. There's some poor people out here.
Hide the money. There's poor people here.
Hide the money. There's some poor people out here. She's all flashing her.
It was like that here.
It was exactly like that out here. And so like the COVID money actually did help us a lot. I mean, there was we did buy groceries with it, and we bought we paid our bills and stuff that we couldn't pay at a time. So.
I think the other equivalent too is that where they're talking about on the Chappelle show where all those people got that money, and on the news he's like, within the last 24 hours 8,000 hip-hop record labels have started. But here on Hopi it's within the last 24 hours 500 sticker companies have started. All the fabric stores are running out of their Cricut machines. The local towns can't keep up with the demand. Hopis have all this money now.
Oh my God. It was crazy. And it was exactly like that. And I tell you that, you give a Hopi a free check with X amount of numbers on there and they'll go butt wild. They're probably wanting to build their own casino right now. I'm pretty sure that they're wanting to build their own casino.
The new richest man in Hopi. His name's Dahatron. He's like won all his money in a dice game that was going on in the village.
I mean, it's to where, but a lot of good things came from that.
Oh
money.
yeah, oh definitely.
And I'm pretty sure that the Navajo Nation is going to have a lot of good
experience something similar too. So those Bluebird flower stocks are going to continue to rise. So forget about GameStop. Buy Bluebird flower stock.
Peyote Records will probably be off the chain. I'm going to get their album.
But I mean, I guess on a serious note, that you're correct. I think it did help out a lot of people, and I think that at least witnessing what was transpiring is that there was a lot of communication, that there were a lot of people trying to help out tribal members as to the information, how they could apply for this money, so that whether they could receive it or not. And there was some goofy stuff though that you saw on social media. People were complaining about, they're making me submit additional information.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And you're like, oh my God, because at least the way that I thought about it is that you think, like, both you and I are employed, right?
Yeah.
And you think about the time and effort that it takes you to work the hours for you to earn $2,000 from your salary. Like, that's nothing in comparison to filling out the application, which was a fairly simple application. And I was also an individual too that had to provide additional documentation. And then, for the 5 minutes out of my life that I had to extract these documents from my computer and then send it to them in an email, that, it trumps, like this $2,000 that we received is probably the easiest $2,000 that you're going to earn in your life.
Oh yeah. It was.
So I just couldn't understand why people were complaining.
I'm pretty sure that people and certain people out there, and I know you guys out there,
I know who you are.
You know who you are. That probably gonna
everyone
watch
on Facebook knows who you are.
They're probably going to say that, how come you didn't vote but you got the money? And I'll be like, you know what? That's money. That's free money there.
You know what? All lives matter. So no, I'm just kidding. Whether you vote or not.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one thing that, that's crazy. That's crazy stuff. The voting episode.
It's always going to come back.
It's always going to come back to us, and I like that. So if you guys have not heard about the voting episode,
go check it out.
Go check it out. There's a link down below.
If you want a good laugh,
yeah, there's links down below.
If you want a good fire in the center of your heart, there's somebody who believes in democracy.
So go check it out below. So.
And then I guess another thing outside of, some of this hilarity that's been going on, because, I think that transitioning from the year 2020 into 2021, that there's been some wild things going on.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the wild things that happened was when all the Trumpsters, all the people that were supporting former President Trump, invaded the Capitol.
Oh, yeah. And invaded the Capitol. And there was this one guy.
One guy in particular. That a lot of Native people are talking about.
What was his name again?
I think they referred to him as the Buffalo Man.
The Buffalo Man from Phoenix, Arizona.
So somebody's Amawa was running wild at the Capitol.
So he got the wrong idea that there was going to be a Hopi dance at the Capitol. So he went there instead, and it's like, no, it's at Hotvela.
He had all his UC
on, and we're like, so he stormed the Capitol, and he's like, he's ready to dance. He's going like this.
Where's the drummers?
Where's the drummers going on?
Where's everybody else?
So that was another thing, and there was a lot of memes that went on.
Oh,
with it.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I guess, the guy, because they interviewed him and they asked him about, why he was dressed the way that he was. And I guess that his reference was that it was Native inspired.
Oh, yeah.
Or inspired by Native Americans. So, he must have been one of those Bahamas that you see at Hotvela all the time. That's probably where he got his inspiration from. It's probably one of the
Hotvela friends out there. And it's like, oh, God, is that?
Like, oh, that's somebody's.
Yeah, exactly. So, there was a lot of backlash with that as well, too. I remember, I know now that he's demanding that he's put on some sort of all natural food diet or something like that.
Is he in jail?
He's in prison.
Oh, no
now.
kidding.
I think he's going to go to prison.
Oh, no.
So he was really pissed off that Donald Trump, his taha, didn't pardon him too. He's like, he was bragging. He's like, oh yeah, my taha Trump is gonna,
he's gonna get me out.
He's gonna get me out of jail. So don't worry about it. He's already packing. He's already has his backpack on. He put on his buffalo head already. He's all waiting at his cell door.
ready to get
released. And his guard walks by and goes like this.
My cats are going to be lined up with all my food for when I get out.
So that's something in the news, and I know that we're kind of late to that, but I think it's
we're Hopis.
We're Hopis. We're always late to
everything. we barely got the news yesterday about this, so that's why we're barely talking about it now.
But anyway, it's been a wild ride, and we're ready for what's the next month?
March.
We're ready for March. I don't even know what month it is. I'm still stuck on December. December part 3, basically. No kidding. December 2020 part 3.
Your Christmas tree's probably still up. all the needles.
It just has branches tree. Now. It just has brown. It just has branches now. It's like we used to have our Christmas ornaments on there. So. Well, if thank you for listening to Carl and J Man, us be these guys, and click on the links below for our past episodes. And if you want to listen to our podcast, links are down below, and click that bell icon for the latest episodes. And we release these every 2 weeks. And now that we're free of doing like ceremonies and stuff,
we're Bahamas now.
We're white people now.
Thanks to COVID.
Thanks for the tribe for shutting everything down and stuff like that. And now we can't do our Hopi ceremonies again. So.
Now we know what weekends are.
Yeah, now we know what weekends are. I have so much free time.
I was gonna say, now we know what free time is.
I don't know what to do with myself anymore.
We have time to clean our shoes. So now we're like our urban relatives.
Yeah, exactly. I finally know what it's like to watch weekend television.
I'm catching up on all my shows.
Oh yeah, exactly. So like and subscribe down below, and click this video right here if you haven't seen our past videos. So thank you again. My name is Carl, and this is my best friend J-Man.
So long.